up? Welcome to episode number 119 of the People We Love podcast. I am Adam Choit. If you're new here, what I do is interview people from all walks of life, most often comedians and other artists and entertainment types about their lives and careers. It's casual conversation, but I also ask everyone to highlight the people they love, who they admire, who influenced them or inspired them. As you can see, if you're watching this on YouTube, I am on video now too, and I'm going to be releasing video full time for every single episode moving forward. And yes, I do have some notes and text in front of me as I get used to doing the whole video thing, especially for these intros and outros, so please bear with me. But for more about this podcast, please check out peoplewelovepodcast.com. That's peoplewelovepodcast.com, and the Instagram handle is @peoplewelovepodcast. And you can find me on Instagram as well, @AdamChoit, my name, if you want to follow me. And it is the same on Twitter, @AdamChoit. And please remember to tap subscribe or follow on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. And of course, 5-star positive reviews on iTunes are greatly appreciated as well. But before getting into today's episode, I wanted to mention my other podcast, Tedeschi Trucks Podcast, all about Derek Trucks, Susan Tedeschi, and their 12-piece rock, soul, blues powerhouse force of a band that I love so very much. I have a fan podcast all about them. It's @Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on Instagram, and it's Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on YouTube. That's TEDESCHI. It's Italian spelling. So please check that out. But for today's People We Love episode, my guest is comedian Aaron Monte. Growing up in a large family right here in LA in Inglewood, mostly everyone in his family had a great sense of humor and loved to joke around. Whether it was family members farting on his head or his dad's deadpan humor, imaginative young Aaron always seemed to have comedy around. But long before incorporating music into his stand-up, a young adolescent, Aaron recalls the very first time he watched the legend, Richard Pryor, his live in concert special in Long Beach on Comedy Central, and this had a profound impact on Aaron to this day. And before we get started, I just wanted to also mention that the audio on my end is a little bit hot. I'm not sure why. It shouldn't be much of an issue, though. You should be able to understand both ends of the conversation. But I just wanted to give you the heads up and apologize for that in advance. I'm always doing my best to bring you guys the best quality content. And it's definitely been a learning process and continues to be. But let's just get started. Here's Aaron Monte. All right, so it's good to see you today, Aaron Monte. Thank you for joining me on the podcast here. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Oh, how you holding up?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing pretty good, man. Trying to get some. I had a wedding recently, so I wasn't in a wedding, but I went to a wedding. So since then, I'm trying to keep up on some sleep now. You know how it goes.
Yeah, happy Halloween, by the way. We're recording this on October 31st.
Yeah, right.
Why are we in? Shouldn't we be out having fun, partying, and doing fun things and celebrating? It's a Sunday thing. We did it last night.
I think it's a Sunday thing. I'm literally gonna carve a pumpkin after we get out of here. I have a pumpkin ready to go.
You know how to do that?
No, I'm gonna find out though.
YouTube?
I guess so. I was gonna try to wing it. I bought the tools, got a pumpkin.
Why?
I guess you can YouTube it.
Why are you doing this?
It just I don't know. I feel like I want to get back to my roots. I used to do it when I was a kid, I guess.
Oh, okay.
My mom would do it. That's what it is. Your mom does it, and then damn, now I'm thinking about it. I don't know what I'm gonna carve it as. That's
a pretty good segue though into your life and family. We could get into that. That's cool that you're doing that. Is it something that you could post? Is that what it is? It's content?
Yeah, everything I do now is based on it.
And that's fair, and I totally get that as like, you being a comedian, and that's like the name of the game, I guess, there is getting more and more content out there.
And I learned that people just like seeing stuff that you do. Just stuff. They don't even care.
It's you.
It's just like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm doing this.
Yeah, they want to connect. People connect with those basic day to day. I just saw. I don't even remember who posted. I think it was a comedian. Just like her dog was like standing in the shower and just like zoomed in on the dog's like, what are you doing? And zoomed out. And that was like the Instagram story or the Instagram post. And like, I'm like, yeah, I kind of like seeing that. That made my day slightly better than what it is. It's so pointless and dumb, but it's like, I get it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I fucking, I posted something about me teaching or something like that, and then went crazy. The internet went crazy. People were loving it, and I was like, all right, good, cool. It was better, more views than anything I posted that I wanted more views on. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Is that always how it is, or do we just kind of like feel that way as creative types? Is it? It often ends up that way for sure.
exactly. It's always the ones where you're like, I did not expect anyone to actually care about this, and now
Yeah, like
now
the thing that I care about. Like the thing that I care about.
I care about other stuff. Come on, what is this about?
Yeah, man.
Beggars can't be choosers, I guess.
Yeah, just gotta be gracious or whatever. Appreciate any attention and positive attention you get, I guess, in the
100%. It could be
creative
worse.
space. Yep. Why don't we get into it? Yeah, why don't we get into it? Your life and your journey. You can tell me where you grew up and kind of what you remember, even from. I asked kind of like early memories, even like before 5 years old, of like earliest memories. What jumps out at people? I did watch a little. I've seen you perform, and I watched a little bit of your stand up before we started recording. So I kind of have a general idea of where you're from, but I'll let you tell your story and the real early. Start with the real early days.
Okay. So I was born in I was born in Torrance, but I grew up in Inglewood, California. My mom and dad lived there my whole life. Had a big family, had a bunch of cousins who were really mean and funny. I think my family is just really mean and hilarious. And I guess that they were a lot of the catalyst for the things I want to do creatively. I guess I was always pretending. I had a cousin named Jordan who's actually an actor now in New York. We would just be pretending all the time since we were little, like just in the backyard making things up. Like head was always in the clouds. My mom was always trying to tell me pay attention. She said, "Yo, you're pretending in public. You understand? You're running around making rocket ship noises and explosions while we're walking in the mall. You got to pay attention to where we're going." Like she used to get mad at me all the time about that. But my family's really. I got like 20, 25, 26 first cousins on my mom's side, I think, and then like maybe 9 or 10 on my dad's side. So it was always just like a huge family. Because older cousins farting on your head, that's when you know how it goes. You know, they just pin you down, just do mean things to you. And I don't know why. I think a lot of that just childhood stuff is really what made me creative and I guess witty. Gotta have a good comeback to things.
For self-defense in your family, it sounds like.
Self-defense, exactly. And everyone in my family is huge, by the way. I'm a tall person. We met in person. I'm a big guy, and my family is way bigger than me. Almost all of my older cousins are huge. I think the ones younger than me are all smaller than me, which I got lucky with. But all the older ones are just like big dudes, like, wreaking havoc on everybody. But, I guess self-defense, exactly. Like, but I also, what I appreciate about them is like now, I think it's for everybody too. Your family kind of like humbles you. You get in the streets and everyone's making you feel like, you're like, oh, I love this guy as a comedian. I like, just everyone's always giving you love, and you go home and like, just shut up. You're just, you're you, dog. Like,
right.
Relax. And I really appreciate that. And that's pretty cool. I think that's always been, keeping people grounded, keeping me grounded, and stuff like that. Then I guess I went to grade school. I grew up Catholic, so I went to Catholic school for a little bit. I have jokes about that as well, which is, just feeling guilt. I think most of your life is with a Catholic. Are you Catholic, by the way? Do you have
Jewish?
You're Jewish. Okay, that was going to be my second guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I grew up Catholic, and it's a weird thing for me. I think that's a basis for a lot of the things I do. I also realized recently I can't stop making jokes in church. I don't know what it is about church, especially Catholic church. It's so serious. So I'm always kind of
that's what it is.
Yeah, my whole life was just trying to make everyone else laugh at something in church, and I think that's all a big thing as well. I used to just see things as silly. Like everything I need to take serious, I just always found it silly. And I was just like, why? Why do I have to do it?
Yeah, I'm thinking about this Seinfeld episode. Speaking of Jewish and Jewish humor, I was thinking about this Seinfeld episode where they're in Jerry's, I think with Elaine in some kind. I thought it was church. It was actually a piano recital, but it was that type of quiet, serious environment. And he put a Pez dispenser on her thigh, and she just started cracking up uncontrollably from this little tiny gesture, and it like ruined the recital. But I thought it was in a church or a synagogue or something, but it was actually in a piano recital. But it was in that serious, quiet environment for sure.
Yeah, and it's always
this urge to go on.
So always this dramatic singing in the front, taste and see, shit like that. Like I'm just like, yo, this is hilarious. Why are we not? This is funny as hell. On top of that, I went to Catholic school. I went to a few different schools as a kid growing up. I went to my parents wanted me to get my first communion, which is a sacrament for Catholics, and you get that in like second grade, I believe. So first and second grade, I went to a Catholic school in Inglewood called St. John's, right next to it's a huge church there, and I went there for a couple of years, and then like my parents was like, yeah, he doesn't like it there. I just didn't like. I don't know. I think it was just too serious. Like I'm saying, like I just don't.
This was how old? This was what ages?
First and second grade.
First and second grade. Real? I was gonna ask. Did you have? I know you had a lot of cousins. Did you have siblings? And if you had siblings, older, younger, and did you get the chance to fart on the heads of anyone else in your family? I know you. I know you've been farted on by people in your family, but
yes.
But did you get the chance to pay it forward to siblings or anyone else?
I decided to not pay. I decided to not do that. I decided that was toxic. I decided I have to change things in order for things to be better. So I was better to the people that came after me. If I had the opportunity to fart on my cousin's heads that farted on me, I definitely am going to do that. I will do that. I'll do that as an adult. I'll wait like maybe a couple more years so we're even older than we are now, and then I'm gonna fart on their heads. But
to be continued.
Yeah, to be continued, exactly. I will get revenge on them, but I couldn't pass on the bad habits of the people that came before me, So I decided to be nice to them and not fart on their heads, and I decided I try to do my best. I have a little brother and an older sister. My brother's about 2 years younger than me. My sister's 2 years older than me. She used to beat our asses. Me, my brother, and my cousin, and two of my other cousins. So we used to be terrified of her. She would just fight us. And I don't know what it is. We were so much bigger than her. It's just the fear, I guess. And she was the oldest. So it's like all the time just getting our asses beat by my older sister. And we were just talking about this today with my aunt. I was literally just talking to her about this, about her just being terrified. Eventually it stopped because then she understood. She was like, okay, you guys are actually bigger than me and becoming men now. So I don't think I can fight you guys anymore.
It becomes absurd almost.
Yeah.
She knew you guys wouldn't fight back when you were younger, so I'm guessing, because she's your older sister and you respect her, and she's a female. So all these things are factoring in, I'm guessing.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's what it is. She used to have us like ridiculous, all three or four of us at the same time. One time she had one of us in a leg lock, two of us in an arm lock, and I was kind of like, how are you doing this? How are you pulling this off? My cousin was like 6'3" at the time. I'm like, how are you? It was ridiculous. And my parents just watched and just marvel at her just whooping our asses like some WWE wrestler. I don't fucking.
I've had some friends' parents that were like that were encouraging the horseplay and the wrestling and egg on the kids like to some degree. Those are probably some of the crazier friends that I had growing up for sure. But I remember having some friends like that for sure.
Yeah.
Friends' parents. Oh man.
But they were, things are, of course, we're older now, so we're all friends now. But they're still, she can still probably beat our asses at this point in time.
Is there a video of her beating your asses?
I don't think so.
Content.
I know, right? I'm gonna VHS tapes at my parents' house.
Yeah, get them digitized and so you can put them on social media.
Right.
That's what people like. I forget if we were talking about this before we start recording, after we start recording, but that's like what people like is just any of that content that you can that's relatable and like you being beat up by family when being younger. Obviously, like, I don't not violently beat up. I'm guessing. Wrestling and quarrels and always goes slightly too far. It's not fun if it doesn't go. It has to go a little bit too far.
Right, exactly. Someone's really got to get messed up, and
that's when it ends.
We try to sneak attack my sister, and she still beat us. We try to be like, all right, we're gonna get her this time. We're gonna fuck her up this time. But we weren't about that life. She was on another level. She was a Michael Jordan focused fucking whooping our asses. But
after Catholic school, or what happened when you left? When you demanded to transfer when you were in first grade.
Demanded to trade from the school. So
right.
When I got my first communion, I was like, I'm out of here. And then I went to a school in Carson called Ambler Elementary. And my mom worked there. So I wasn't supposed to be going to school in Carson. I lived in Inglewood. You know, it's a public school. I was supposed to be going to public school in Inglewood. But since my mom worked there, I ended up being able to go there, and I liked it there a lot. You know, I was the prince of the school. My mom was in the office, like everyone knew who I was.
So
I
that's
knew all
that could be a bad thing for some people if their mom works. They're not
very
ideal, but
true. Very true. She used to I used to wait in line to get lunch, of course, like everyone else. I'm a normal kid. My mom would try to come in, hey, you can go to the front of the line. I'd be like, nah, I'm good. I was like, nah, I'm gonna stay in line. She's like, okay. I was like, you can. And I was like, nah, they wouldn't. All the other kids like, go to the front of the line. Go to the front of the line. And I'll be like, nah, I'll stay with y'all. I'll just, you know, because I didn't want to feel, you know, like I was getting some kind of special treatment, but I still was. You know, I still was regardless, but I didn't want to.
I'm more on the down low, special treatment more on the down low.
Exactly.
Smart.
What's actually crazy is I work at that school now. That's the exact school that I'm a teacher at now. And a lot of the same, I work with my teachers like from when I was in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade and shit. And it's pretty cool. It's kind of cool. I mean, people still see me as like a little kid because they've known me since I was a child, but I mean, I guess again, I'm like a younger sibling, so it's like to them. So I kind of get more slack than most people get, which is a little interesting. And, you know, sometimes people be like, yo, in the middle of the day, like, yo, let's go to lunch. And I'm like, all right. And then like, they'll just wait. Let's wait till the day's over to go back. And I'm like, all right, that's like, I guess the kids will be all right. I guess someone will take care. Somebody will take care of it. But yeah, I really enjoyed going to that school 3rd through 5th grade. And then that ended because it was an elementary school. Then I ended up going to a Maria Regina, which is another Catholic school for 6th through 8th grade. And that was fun too. I enjoyed it there. I mean, but also there was kind of a lawless school. We didn't have we had like 6 teachers, 6th grade. They kept hating our class and we were really bad. And of course, the more teachers we have, the worse the class gets over time. So, but I also was really smart there. People thought I was a genius in like 8th grade. Everyone was like, yo, these guys. I had straight A's. I was the president of the school. I only became the president because the guy who was nominated president didn't show up to meetings, and I was always there. And I was in 8th grade, so they're like, all right, well, he's impeached. You're the president.
That's funny. I've interviewed some people who've been class presidents and valedictorians, but I've never heard a story where it became to be because the other person got impeached, so to speak.
Straight up. It
removed
wasn't even
from office.
He was just like, yo, we haven't seen the president in a while. He's impeached. You're the new guy. And I said, okay, I guess so. And then I was the MVP of the football team. I was
wow.
I should have had no reason being the MVP of the football team, but somehow they liked me a lot. And I just had a monster year 8th grade. I was just having the best year. Having the best year ever. But fucking then I remember we had like a meeting with me and one of the other girls in the class, 8th grade, and the teacher was like, hey, like you guys are like neck and neck for the best grades in the class. So one of you guys is gonna be valedictorian, but you guys are literally right there. I said, depending on one grade. And at first I was kind of like, oh, all right, that's cool. I didn't really care that much. I was like, all right, if I get it, I get it, you know? And then my aunt later on I told my aunt was like, if you get valedictorian, I'll give you $200. I was like, all right, the challenge accepted. Here we go. So, you know, I studied my ass off, you know, and I got my good grades, became valedictorian. That was
wow.
Cool. The graduation was cool. I won like every single award for like.
This is middle school Catholic
this is
school, 8th grade, right?
Grade.
You're peaking
and
8th grade.
Yeah, it was crazy. People were coming up to congratulating me afterwards. I was like, man, I'm fucking killing it right now. I'm fucking doing my thing. And then when I left there, I went to Bishop Montgomery in Torrance, which is another Catholic school, a very good high school. And I didn't do good as well there. I thought I was going to crush it all the way through. And I was like, I got there and I was like, oh, this is kind of hard.
It gets harder.
Yeah, it's a lot harder than 8th grade work. But people from like grade school kept coming up to me during high school. Yo, how are you? You know, you fucking getting 4.3s? And I'm like, hell no. I was like, school was easy back then. I'm not doing that shit no more. And I was a really good school. So I was like, this is a tough school. So after that, high school was fun. That was really when I started doing music more, I guess. And I was just really being just kind of anytime, like there would be assignments where we'd have to come make a presentation and then I'd make a rap. And then it eventually got so popular that the teachers made an assignment to make a rap. I remember being like, hey, yo, this nigga's stealing my, you stole my whole idea. He's doing the whole thing. But so it was kind of cool. And then whenever we'd have an assembly, I'd do a song, you know, and if I could, you know, people, I'd be like, yo, can I do a song? Like, yeah, cool. And then just write something. And that was really when I started when I guess my music voice came to be, because everyone in high school wants to be a rapper anyways. That's like everyone's goal. Everyone's, yo, I'm trying to rap right now.
I don't know if that
Like,
ends in high school, actually,
yeah,
for all of
I don't
us.
think anyone stops wanting to be a rapper for real. Everyone wants to be a rapper.
Right.
Yeah, so that was really, yeah, I still want to be a rapper. Like I'm still I'm still doing that.
I saw one of your videos I was watching before about single moms. You were singing,
Yeah.
and that was singing. That wasn't really was not really as much rapping, I
I
suppose.
have a rap verse on it, but yeah, I was
Rap
singing.
verse, yeah.
Girls with Kids, yeah, that was my first. That's everyone's favorite song of mine. That's the first song I ever released, and everyone's like, still like, that's everyone's favorite. I enjoy that one too. That was special to me.
It's fun.
That was cool. And also, before even like starting to rap in high school, I was always writing. So I was always trying to write a book or something. I had a briefcase full of just stuff I was writing, comic books and just little books and stuff. Drawing. I used to be really into drawing. After a while, I kind of moved away from it. I could have got really good, but I just kind of stopped, so I didn't really continue.
Sounds like other stuff took over. It's like more than that. It sounds like you've always done creative stuff, always been a creative person with a hyperactive imagination. So it's not so much even a conscious decision. I don't like drawing anymore. I'm going to quit drawing. True. What it sounds like, it just sounds like, oh, I'm into this now. So that's what's taking up my time.
Damn, that's a good point. I never even thought of it like that. I never thought of it like that. Well, yeah, I guess that writing is also kind of it's telling a story, painting a picture in a different way. And I think that's also why it kind of drew me to it as well. And after I was started writing a lot, it kind of carried into high school. I didn't do as many. I did more sports. I played football in high school. I for like 3 years, but I had knee surgery before I got into high school from football. So I only played 3 years. I ended up throwing shot put somehow in high school because I knew it would get me out of class if I went to the track meets on Wednesday. So like I get out like 12 o'clock, like ridiculous times. Like, yo, I should be at school like right now. But and after a while, we had a shot put coach, and then they just stopped showing up. And I eventually somehow just stepped into I was the only person who had been doing shot put since like sophomore year. So it was like my senior year, I was teaching everyone else who was coming on the shot put team how to throw shot put. And we did pretty good. I was just recruiting friends. I was recruiting like everybody. Everyone was just kind of like, yo, I want to do it. And I was like, all right, cool, come on. Like the smallest girls, you're like 5'1" girls, like the small petite girls doing shot put. I'm like, yo, all right, I'll teach you guys how to do it.
So like a weight class for shot put?
There should have been, but
those people are always huge, male and female.
Huge, yeah, I know. So it was like, honestly, I was putting together the most ragtag team. It wasn't like the Little Rascals out there. It was just anybody who wanted to throw shot put. I was teaching how to throw shot put and come out and do it, and it was fun.
That's why people showed up. Not to cut you off, but I think that's what people showed up. People wanted to be around you because you're fun, and it seems like.
Oh man, yeah.
Seems like you're a fun dude, man. To hang out with. I don't know if you've changed. You're like I used to be a really dark person until within 2 months ago.
Right.
You made shot put fun. The most popular track, too. Typically least popular, one of the lesser popular track and field events.
That event, it also lasts 20 seconds. It's just like we all come and throw a few times, and then we're just chilling the rest of the track.
Right. Social. It's social.
Yeah, exactly. So that probably was what it was. It was just fun. People were just like, yo, I'm trying to just do something. I would be telling people, I'd be like, yo, come on, let's do it. And people just want to be encouraged to do some shit. So we did that, and that was fun. My sister did it at one point before she graduated. That was pretty funny as well. Yeah, it was cool. And then after I graduated, I was getting recruited for football in high school by University of Redlands, Occidental College, which is where like Obama went. And some other school, some other third school. I can't remember what it was, but I remember I was getting recruited, and I know I had a bad knee, so I was like, I don't really want to play football. It's not really my goal. I really just, if I play football, I want to go just because it's getting me some school. But eventually I was like, I don't think that my knee is really ready for college football or anything past the level of high school. It was, because I knew it was a lot weaker. I remember not really getting into many schools. So I was kind of thinking that football was the only way I'd go to school. And eventually I applied to Cal State Long Beach, and I didn't get in. But then there was an appeal process where you could just write an essay. And to be honest, I think that at that year, if you just wrote the essay, they're just like, all right, come on. You know, I think, because I don't know, because all my friends started writing the essay and they're all getting in. I was like, okay, we can't all be doing this essay. I think you just got to write the essay and they'll be like, come on in. I think people just get the rejection letter most of the time, just like, nah, fuck it. I'm not going to go to the school, I guess. But I wrote the essay. And I remember going visit University of Redlands and looking at the weight thing, like the weight chart of all the linemen of what they were squatting. And I was like, dude, ain't no way there's a squatting fucking like semi trucks. Like, this is ridiculous. How are we? I can't do this. I remember being there thinking that, and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna either have to squat all this shit or just not go to college. I got no options here. I remember getting home. Getting an email from Cal State Long Beach, and it said I got in. I was like, oh shit, okay, well then perfect. It's a cheaper school. I can drive from home. I don't have to go all the way to Redlands. So I ended up going to Cal State Long Beach and studying. I didn't know what to study really, because I know I didn't want to. I knew I wanted to be a writer or write scripts or books or something. I knew I wanted to write or do something like that. But I also knew that would be kind of difficult. And I also said, like, what should I do? And I also thought about majoring in philosophy in case I wanted to become a lawyer for whatever reason. I was just thinking of options. And eventually I figured I should just, major in creative writing English, which I did. And I ended up creative writing English. And was doing a lot of novel classes and short story classes. And I started realizing that a lot of my writing was like humorous. Like I would start to write a serious scene. And eventually there's always a point when in my writing where I'm just kind of like, what if he just said something here about his dick or something? Like, it's always a point where I'm just kind of like, what if he just said something funny to this stuff? And it would always change the tone as soon as it would go. So a lot of my writing would be semi-serious, but also pretty funny, like, a little comedy in there. And I really liked that about my writing when I started doing that, writing different parts of novels and, things like that for my classes. And after a while, I was kind of like, I kind of want to write, for TV and movies, write some comedy. So I started thinking about doing stand-up. And I had always watched stand-up, always, been a fan of stand-up. I remember when I was a kid with my cousins, we'd always spend the night. And one night on Comedy Central, they were playing Richard Pryor in concert in Long Beach with the red button-up shirt. And they were like, yeah, Richard Pryor's coming on 3 a.m. tonight, uncensored. It was like way back in the day. So it was like, you can always see an uncensored comedy show on like Comedy Central. So we were trying to stay up till 3 a.m. to watch it, and eventually all my cousins just fell asleep. So by 3 a.m. when it came on, I was just by myself, just up. I was like, all right, well, I'll check it out. And I remember thinking before it came on, I was like, what's this going to be like? It's just going to be a dude just standing on stage talking by himself. Like, how is that fun? How's it fun to see a dude just talk on stage? Like, there's no visuals. Like, he doesn't play any music or anything like that. And it came on, and immediately I was in. I was like, man, this is cool. Like, you don't even notice he's talking for an hour. He's just telling jokes, and it's hilarious. And to this day, that's my favorite stand-up special. Is the Richard Pryor in concert. And I think Huey Newton was in the crowd at that show, which was actually really cool. I remember being a kid saying, yo, he's shouting out Huey Newton in the front row of this comedy show. It was really dope. And that was really influential to me, because I was like, damn, this is a comedian with like one of the biggest Black political leaders, in the last like century or two. You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty dope to see how see what his influence was and how funny he was. And I was like, damn, I was in love with stand-up then. But I remember, so then when I was in college, trying to figure out how to become a comedy writer, I was like, dang, maybe I should try doing some stand-up. Maybe I should, do some stand-up. And I remember I was in a undergraduate program where you get to work with a professor on whatever they're working on. And we would have meetings with one of our, we had a counselor who was just part of this program. So I would go work with them, get paid for it. And then, we had to take a class with it on Fridays, and which was trash. Taking a Friday class in college is the worst thing. I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that was the rule until I got there. And I was like, I have hella Friday classes.
If you can avoid it.
Yeah, if you can avoid it. Exactly. So all 4 years of college, I had to be at school on Friday, which that's the only regret of my college career. So I just shouldn't have gone to class on Fridays. But so I had this program. I remember talking to my counselor, and I actually still talk to him today. His name is Juan Gonzalez. He's really cool. He was my counselor. I remember going in there, and sometimes we would just talk. We wouldn't even be talking about whatever the program was. We'd just be talking. And I remember sitting there. I was telling him, I think I want to try stand-up comedy. And he was a huge Bill Burr fan. I also like Bill Burr. And we were always talking. He was like, yo, you should just do it. You should go ahead and try it, man. He's like, yo, you're not going to be that good at first, probably. That's what everyone says. He's like, he was a comedian. So he's like, I don't know. But everyone says you're not going to be good at first, but it doesn't really matter. You should just go ahead and try it. I was like, all right, cool. And so I remember I was like 20, 21. I didn't even tell anybody that I was going to do it. I looked up what's it called? It was a website, the Comedy Bureau, I believe, was
Right,
the
yeah.
open mic. Yeah, yeah. It doesn't really exist anymore. It kind of went away. I don't know what happened to it, but I miss it.
No, it's still there. I think it's
It's still
still up.
there.
Yeah, yeah, dude's still
Oh,
doing it.
oh, okay, cool.
Jake Kroger. I interviewed him too. He runs that
Cool.
site.
Oh no, because I whatever. I was trying to look for it last year. Maybe it wasn't coming up, but I don't. Maybe that was because of this pandemic. I was just fucking trying. But anyways, I remember going to the Comedy Bureau looking up an open mic, and I looked up, I found one, and I was like, all right, I'll pull up and see what's up. So I pull up and watch all the comedians go up with the open mic, and it was cool. It's open mic, so like, but it was cool. And I didn't go up. I just sat there. I didn't go up, and at the end of it, I was the only person in the room, and then the guys who were running the mic were like, all right, is that everybody? And they're like, you going up? And I was like, nah, I'm just watching. And they're like, all right, bro, like you just watching, you just sitting here watching the open mic. Okay, that's weird. And I was like, yeah, all right. And then so I left. And then the next week I came back and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go up on stage this time. And I went up and I told some story about me in Vegas and me making out with a girl in the pool. And I was the hoe of the group of the guys and the girls. Everyone just disappointed in me just with these girls in Vegas. And it really wasn't a joke. It was just me telling a story. But I remember having that feeling of, I still love this feeling of people just looking at you, just zoned in on what you're saying. And I really like that feeling with like the stars in their eyes. Everyone just looks so mesmerized with what you're saying when you're on stage. I remember that feeling of being like, all right, this is cool. You know what I mean? I got some laughs because it was a funny story. But I remember that and I was like, okay, I want to do some more. So I did some more. And of course, the next time didn't go good. It was a terrible time. The next few times didn't go that good, but I kept trying and I kept going. And eventually one of my cousins, Justin, he does film, and I used to work with him all the time when I was like 13 and work with him on different little projects because he was in film school. And I'd always just run around with him, just help him out on the set and hold the camera, film stuff with him. So he used to help me, help me like kind of nurture my creative spirit a lot. We used to, then one day he was booked at the Comedy Store somehow. And I was like, how'd you get booked at the Comedy Store? All right, well, so I pulled up to the Comedy Store in the original room too. And I guess at the time the Comedy Store was a lot more accessible as it is now than it is now, because he was there, and I remember seeing Bill Burr come out, and I'm like, damn, like this fool was like on a show with Bill Burr. Like, how did this happen? And afterwards, I talked to him, and I was like, yo, man, how'd you get on the show? He's like, yo, man, I just found this on Craigslist. Some guy posted it on Craigslist. His name's Mike Q. I don't know if you heard of him. It's Mike Q. He still produces shows. He was like, yeah, he put me on. He's like, I'll send it to you. I was like, okay. So he sends it to me. And I hit him up, and then he was like, yeah, I'm going to book you on the show on next Monday. I was like, okay, for sure. So my first show ever was at the Comedy Store in the original room, and that was super cool.
Wow.
I kind of find out later that it's, a bringer show, but that's how the game starts.
That's what I was going to.
Yeah. So all the pressure's on to bring some people out to this show. Luckily, I grew up in LA, so I always have had a base of people to be able to come support me. And I still pride myself in that today, of people being like, if I'm on a show, I like being able to bring people to shows with me. I think that's always a good look, and it feels good when you're on stage, you're not by yourself. You know what I mean? You have people there that are excited to see you because they're there to see you. So most shows I try to bring people out. I remember being there, I got people out, and it was I met a lot of people like Eric Mack, who's a comedian, and Matt Torkelson, who are still my friends now at my very first show, and I did all right. I did okay. But then I kept doing that show. I kept hitting up Mike whenever he'd send an email like, yo, if you want to get working the show, hit me up. And kept going. I really think that was where I kind of, got really good at comedy, was just kept on doing those bringer shows. And
at the Comedy Store, you kept doing bringer shows, and you were able to bring out people because you had this base in Southern California, sounds like.
Yeah. Exactly. So I was like, might as well do it. So people were always coming out to see me. My friends were really like, yo, let's do it. And I didn't even post about it for a while. I didn't talk about me doing stand-up for a while. It was maybe like a few months in when I finally posted a picture of me on stage at the Comedy Store. And I was like, all right, I'm doing it. And everyone was like, whoa, like, you're doing this shit. And I was like, all right, yeah. So then more people started coming out. And I was like, yeah, I should have been told people I was doing this. I shouldn't have had it for so long. But it was always a conflicting thing for me, because I was like, yo, I know I want to do comedy, but how hard is that path going to be?
I get it. I get it. I follow why you waited, but I think it sounded like the right move. Like, when and you moved in that more public direction when you felt the time was right and most comfortable. There's no shame in that.
Very true. I agree. And that was cool. And after that, I think the Comedy Store started getting popping again, you know. So he lost that show. He was like, I can't do that show there no more. But he was at the Ice House in Pasadena, so I used to go there all the time. Through him, I got to do like the Hard Rock and, you know, Anaheim and shit like that. And eventually, you know, I built a rapport with Mike Q. I haven't seen him in a long time, but, you know, and he kind of like was just like, yo, I'll always book you because, you know, you've been in the game with me and doing this shit for a while. All right, cool. And that's what's cool about it. But and after that, I was able to eventually, as you meet people, move out of doing bringer shows and moving on and getting better and doing all these other shows. And eventually I decided to, I always loved the idea of doing music and comedy, you know, at the same time. And eventually I was like, yo, maybe I should just start making songs and then put them out and then maybe perform on stage, because no one really, not no one does it, but like it's you don't see that many people do a set and then do a song at the end all the time. So I thought that would be a cool thing to add to my my repertoire on stage. So I started making songs. I remember I talked to, eventually in college, I had another cousin named Blake Taylor. His teacher, one of his teachers was in high school. He went to St. Bernard's, and he used to teach him video. Like he was the AV teacher. So he was the AV teacher, and like learned a lot through him. And this guy used to work on like a bunch of like Snoop Dogg stuff, like a bunch of hip hop, you know, music videos. He was well connected in the game from like 90s hip hop. But during the writer's strike in like 2009, he ended up teaching at this high school with my cousin. So he taught him, but my cousin kind of stayed friends with him. And he had this website called Blurred Culture, where he, you know, used to post a bunch of interviews and with like J. Cole and a bunch of Schoolboy Q and all these rappers. And my cousin was, you know, working with him on this. And eventually my cousin calls me one day, I'm in college, and he's like, hey man, you know that guy Pete that I work with on this Blurred Culture website? I was like, yeah, I know of the website you're talking about. That's how you met Schoolboy Q. That's all I really know. And he's like, yeah, well, he wants to start this comedy show, like kind of like a 5-minute daily show type thing, and needs a host for it. And I told him that my cousin's a comedian. And I told him, I was like, man, well, I don't really do political comedy like that. That's not really my bag, but I'm always down for a challenge. I was young. I was maybe like 2 years into comedy. So I'm like, yeah, I'm sure I'm down to try it. And it's on a website with like 20,000 followers and shit. So it's like, and subscribers. So it's like, yeah, they go viral sometimes. Yeah, I'll do that. So I met up with Pete and Blake and things. His name's Pete So Bad. He's been very helpful to me in the industry. You know, he's been like a real, motivator for me. And he you know, we started working on the show, and I wasn't good. I'm still not that. I still don't think I'm that good at political comedy, but it was a fun show. I came up with different bits for the show, and I wrote the whole thing. We were filming it in his garage on a green screen, and we were doing it. We're really consistent. And eventually we got like to 20,000 views on average. It was doing really good at one point.
That's awesome. All this is awesome. And you must have been learning a lot and getting new skills and meeting people, and your networking. You've been doing like almost like networking within your own family. There's a whole like people to connect with.
So true. I'm so grateful. And to this day, like for Justin and Blake, the two cousins I just mentioned, like they really have, I'm grateful to them forever. I'm like, yo, you got me started in the things that I do. And like, you know, I don't even care if I invite you to a show and you don't come. You know what I mean? Like you supported me so much that I don't even know if they know how much they've done for me. But
that's cool.
So I ended up meeting with him, and then eventually I let him know. I was like, yeah, I'm trying to really do. And he's a firm believer that Pete, he's a believer that hip hop is dead. He's one of those people. I remember that was kind of like the consensus at one point in time, where everyone's like, nah, hip hop's not good no more. You know, it's dead. And he was one of those, and he's kind of like, yeah, I think that there's new things need to come out for music. And I was like, oh, I agree. I remember telling him that I wanted to do comedy music, and I showed him a couple of examples that I had, and he was like, yeah, this is where it's at. He's like, I really enjoy it. And he's really believed in what the music I was kind of trying to make. And he was like, yeah, this is where it's at. Like having hip hop, it's still hip hop, you know what I mean? But it's also has its own spin, and it is its own thing. And being comedy music, and I also try to make it as entertaining as a standalone hip hop song, and not just a comedy song. You know, I try to make it so people want to listen to it because it slaps. You know, not because it's funny, only because it's funny, because it slaps too. And he started kind of sending me beats, because he used to make beats at one point. He was like, yeah, I'll send you some stuff, and you know, we can work on it together. And so he gave me these beats. I wrote a couple songs. I recorded for the first time at his house, actually. First time I ever recorded anything. It wasn't good recording. It just sounded terrible, but it was the first time I ever recorded at that house. And he, and then eventually he was like, yo, I'll make your videos for you. He's a professional videographer. He's like, yo, I'll make your videos for you. I was like, all right, cool. So he started making my videos. That's how you saw the Girls with Kids video. It was directed by him. Like, that's all his family in
this
there.
Is this is Pete, who's connected with the Blurred
Culture.
He's one of the founders of that website.
Yes, him and another man named Derek, who's also really cool. Derek Lee, he's awesome. They started this website together. So he was like, yo, I'll make your videos and put them on this website. And I was like, oh, yeah, for sure. I'm down with that. Like, it sounds like a great deal. I get some views. I get a professional videographer who won't charge me out the ass for this. You know what I mean? Like someone who's just trying to help me out and support. So he made the Girls with Kids video. The woman in the beginning of that video is his wife. Like the little girl in the beginning is his daughter, and the little boy is his son. And so that for him, that was a really special video too. He's like, yo, I love that video because my kids and my whole family's in it. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty dope. So he made a few of my videos for my first album that I did. It's really helpful. I feel like he's really been good to me and as a role model in the industry. You know what I mean? Like he's also someone who has been in the industry, and he's kind of like, yo, I'll help you out because I know that's what you love, but he wants to get out of the industry in that way. He's kind of like, I always help you out because I like you, but it's not about getting big, which I really appreciate. And and then so I eventually released my first album. What was I saying? So I started doing music on stage. That's what I was saying. So I did my music. I had a couple songs. I started doing music on stage. I used to perform this one song I have called Extras, which is about how I don't care how much extra guacamole is. I still want that shit on my That's what I want. So I had a song about that. I performed it at the Comedy Store, and it went up. It was dope. Like people were singing the song with me. It was fun as hell. That's the one song I used to perform all the time wherever I go because it's short, simple. I had a joke that corresponded with it. That I'd say beforehand, and and I really got in my bag of being able to be a music and comedy performer, which I prided myself in, being able to have good jokes and also do some good music. And then I ended up going to headlining a lot in San Diego at different clubs and stuff like that. I would perform the songs after I started doing things like if I have a production company that I work for, which I also have to tell the origin of that production company. And called Pink House, and we used to throw our own show called Henny and Chicken, which is an unlimited Hennessy and unlimited chicken show, and you get unlimited food, and then you sit down. It's a show. It's a really good time. We used to have it every 4 months. The pandemic has kind of slowed it down since, but
it still exists. So there will be more.
Exactly, there will be more for sure. So we were having those a lot, and we used to have a live band. And that's when I started improvising songs. Just have the band play anything. I just make something up on the spot, and that's really my favorite thing to do on stage is making up songs. I just did it. I got to do it again for the first time a few weeks ago at a show. I was like, yo, I'm getting able to improvise songs again, which is really dope. So I started doing that a lot, and I was really tying in my music to my comedy. And I was really grateful for Pink House. So Pink House is a production company that I'm not the founder of, but I business partner with like 5 of my other friends, and my brothers pretty much. My roommate DC Edwards was another comedian and musician, and my roommate Tanji, who goes by Mose with rap. He's a rapper, and he designs all of our merchandise. And he's I joined with them, and we started hanging out when I met DC through comedy, and eventually I started helping them out with these events. And I was like, yo, I'll help you guys with anything. These are my friends. This is before I lived with them. So I was hanging out with them a lot, going to their events. And eventually they were kind of like, yeah, do you want to join the team? I was like, yeah, of course. Like I'm putting in work anyways with you guys. I'm down to join the team. I ended up moving in with them because it's better to work together, when we're all together. So we moved in together, and we've been going at it since. Now we have a studio downtown, music studio and a recording studio downtown, and it's going really well. So I'm really happy to be working with them. We really are family, you know what I mean? It's a really big family, and I'm really grateful for them. And a lot of has come from it. A lot of my networking has come from being with Pink House and working with Pink House. That was really Then we started a podcast at one point last year. We have to bring that back at some point in time. But we have a lot of things going with us, going through Pink House, and it's really cool.
That's exciting. That's exciting. Yeah. And it all seems to happen, or has happened, like fairly like organically, it sounds like. And that's like great. It must be really inspiring to be around like all these other creative types and to have you helping them and them helping you. And it doesn't sound like it's like a transactional thing at all. It's just all very organic, and that's great. Yeah. If I have that correct,
No, absolutely, right. Man. It's kind of like everyone's lifting and climbing with each other, and that's what is really important about it. Is that everyone who has opportunity, we are easy to hand it to to give it to someone else. But hey, I have this. Do you want to share this with me? Or I have this. Do you want it? Because I can't do it. You know what I mean? Or we're all just everyone's just climbing, helping each other, grab each other, pull each other up on the ropes, and that's what's really important about it. Everyone has that team spirit about them. And I always tell my friends this: it's like people in these circles, they come and go too. Like there's a few people that we were in contact with or worked closely with, and those people ended up doing things that we didn't align with, and we have to separate yourselves. And it's kind of like analogy I always use is kind of like when you're searching for gold and you have all this sand in your pan and you shake it all out and you get them little gold nuggets and the rest of the sand just falls out. That's just really what all of it is making these connections and finding out those little gold nuggets in that pan of sand. And that's also beautiful too. That's all, because it's all the journey of life. And things have been going better, and I really am appreciative of everybody that I work with. But what was I even saying now? I don't even remember what I was saying now.
No, it just sounds like basically I don't even. We kind of went right from college into your career, which is cool. Is that kind of how it happened? I wanted to ask, how old were you when you saw that Richard Pryor stand up?
I think I was. What year was that? I was maybe 13.
So you kind of understand a good portion of what he's talking about in his act. Yeah. Even maybe not everything at 13, but most things you probably do. And with like a big family, somebody probably explained stuff or taught you stuff, at a young age.
You know what it is? I guess at that age, because 13 is the age where you really can understand everything at that point. You may not get it really, but you get some, you can understand it. I think that looking back, I don't know if I ever had anyone explain to me. I feel like your cousins really just, everything is passed down through oral stories of like your friends and family, like your cousins. You know what I mean?
Listening and eavesdropping is kind of how you learn.
There was even a point in time I remember, and this also influenced, Dave Chappelle was influential to me, but because my cousins didn't want me to see it. And I remember when they were watching the Chappelle show at one point in time, when it was hot, like, and they had the DVDs at my cousin's house, my older cousins would be like in the room, like, yo, we're watching the Chappelle show. And they were like, no, you can't come in because you're too young. And I was like, I can watch this. I can do this. I remember thinking like, yo, what is so controversial about it, or what is so
it was on Comedy Central. It wasn't any more crass or blue than
right than
anything else. Richard Pryor. This was after you saw Pryor or before you?
Because Dave Chappelle was 2003, so maybe this is before I saw Richard Pryor, the stand-up. Right. But I of course knew who Dave Chappelle was, and I knew that they loved this show. So I'm like, yo, I want to see what this is. Like, I want to see exactly what is going on here. I remember that being such like a moment where I was like, yo, I want to make whatever that guy's making, whatever he's putting together to make my cousins cry laughing, but stop me from seeing it. What could it be? I still ended up watching it by myself anyways. You know what I mean? Like, of course. You're not going to stop me from going to watch this. But to them, they thought I had no idea how I could find it or watch it. Also, I completely didn't even realize I moved into going into career stuff earlier.
Nah, it's all good. I enjoy listening. I'll let you do all the work, man. I don't need to.
Word, okay.
You run the ship.
Yeah, but also I think a lot of I'm realizing now that a lot of my humor comes from my mom and dad as well. I think, and that's something that I think about as I get older. Because as you get older, you start seeing the stuff that you're like, oh, I get that from my dad. I think that's like a thing that my dad does. My dad was always, my dad's a super sweet man. He's very nice. He's a deputy sheriff, and he was always really kind to everybody. Everyone who meets my dad says, your dad's so sweet. He's a very sweet person, but he also is very like deadpan humor. Like he just kind of, he sees through all the bullshit. Really, anything in this world, anything that someone says to him, he's like, nah, that's bullshit. Like he sees right through it. And I kind of carry that trait now. I'm like, yo, I see through the bullshit most of the time too, because he would always talk about it. And my mom as well. My mom had 5 and 6 brothers and sisters, and they're all crazy as hell. My aunts and uncles are all hilarious, just roasting each other. They barely are nice to each other, but that's how they show each other love. They're just always roasting and making some kind of joke, and I think that is also what cultivated a lot of my humor. And this is the same. My mom's side of the family is the side that farted on my head. By the way, that was them. That was Justin and Jordan, actually, who ended up helping me in comedy later. But his younger brother Jordan, which I kind of alluded to earlier, with pretending in the backyard, me and him were like best friends. That cousin best friend. Me and him were like best friends, kind of just pretending until we were teenagers. We were like 16, 17 in the backyard. Like, hey man, we should probably stop pretending. We should maybe play basketball or something in the backyard. Remember, we should play some football. But it was really cool, just being imaginative. That's just really just fucking around.
Makes perfect sense that you guys ended up where you ended up, and I've interviewed quite a few people that just have similar childhood, just in the regard of just always being creative or working on something creative, even if they didn't know exactly what they wanted to do or be, and jumping from one creative thing to the next, and even later in life bringing them all together. And I'm sure the Chappelle Show, what a great show that was. Like, it was a big influence on you, just the way that show would bring comedy and music and satire and current events and just being silly and all to the forefront and in just an amazing variety show.
Yeah, 100%, man. That's also something that I meant to even bring up with Chappelle, always knowing that music and comedy go hand in hand. All of it really does. Like, all of it's connected. I think every rapper wants to be a comedian. I think every comedian wants to be a rapper. So it's like everything all ties together. Everything's about timing, and the way you word things. So I thought it's beautiful to have those things together. The fact that he's so close with like John Mayer and just having him and everything, and having like Talib Kweli and everything he does. You know what I mean? He has all these rappers that are his favorite.
Yeah.
Everything that he does. And then on top of that, just selling out shows with John. I got bumped at the Comedy Store because John Mayer and Dave Chappelle showed up, and I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll just be here because John Mayer and Dave Chappelle are here, and that's also, what can you say? That's beautiful. I'm glad.
It's cool. It's you at least you got bumped for them, and not for someone that you would in your mind you're going to debate whether it was appropriate.
Right. Exactly.
I'm better than so and so.
Right. Yeah, I can do better than him. Yeah, but so yeah, so I thought that was always important to have music and comedy together. I think that's always it's such a cool thing. I think everyone loves a good funny song. Everyone, and also all my favorite rappers. All your favorite rappers are funny. My favorite rappers are always the best rappers are funny ones. Eminem, hilarious. A lot of I used to love Biz Markie. Oh my, rest in peace. Like Biz Markie, I was just like, yo, this guy is just cranking out hits. We're talking about boogers. Like he has this whole song about boogers. I'm like, yo, this guy and he's a rap legend. He's like a rap legend. Like Will Smith, who was just a silly rapper. He was silly. He was early on, but he was silly. The first rapper to win a Grammy for best rapper. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like all these people who are legends are also funny, and they're like self-aware of that. That's my favorite thing is being a rapper who's self-aware. I think that I like Drake a lot because he's self-aware. Drake's also the hit maker of hit makers now. You know what I mean? But he's just doing his thing. I think that's important to have. And,
people gravitate towards that, and I do kind of hate to break it to you, but more comedians want to be rappers than the other way around, I would say.
Think so?
I think so, just based on maybe I spend more time around comedians who talk about it and want to be it and whatever than I think everyone wants to be funny. I think everyone thinks they can be a comedian. Like people think people don't think they can be a rapper unless you're like really somewhat trying. But like I think people think they could be a comedian because you guys all give the illusion that it isn't hard when it's
Very
working
true.
well.
Yeah, right. Very true. Also, everyone has a bit for you. Everyone's got a bit to give you. Everyone's like, yeah, you want to do this? You ever hang out with if I ever hang out with 3 of my aunties, all 3 of them are trying to say something funny to give me a bit. I'm like, all right, just let it be.
That becomes the bit most of the time. I think the story of the aunties telling you the bit, that's what's going to end up on stage, not so much
Yeah, exactly.
what they think is funny about what they're telling you.
Today I saw my family, and literally the whole time they were like, "You're gonna get a lot of material today," and I was like, "No, I don't think so. I don't think that I'm going to."
Not the kind they think, probably.
Not the kind you think at all. Not at all.
That's funny.
They're gonna see this, and I'm like, "This is the content that you got from that conversation. Is this interview right here?"
Right. Sweet.
But yeah, man.
We covered a lot. You want to bring me up to date on anything we didn't cover that in career wise, or and whatnot? Anything else you want to?
Let's see. Well, I stopped at where I stopped at. Dang, I really just went through the whole thing. Man,
that's what I'd see. It seems like to me. I could be wrong. You know your life better than me. I didn't want to be like, give me your plugs and promotions right now without.
I stopped kind of at really where I was. The origins of my career. Really, I stopped at I just gave you Pink House and Blur Culture, which were pretty big things, and really the origins of what I did. But I think currently, things post pandemic, even before the pandemic, I started trying to branch out more in stand up. I was always feeling like I wasn't, because I had done a few shows in San Diego, but that had kind of stopped after a while because I hadn't kept going out there, and I kind of got to the point where I had to, I had to figure out how to branch out and meet more people. So I started I was already friends with Tommy Wakefield and Kyle Reel, and I kind of knew who Mike Falzone was. And I remember seeing their show. They used to have a show called Heavy Heavy Lolo, which is now Extra Sauce.
Yeah, I've been to that show a bunch of times.
Yeah. Okay. Word. Okay.
Was Extra Sauce where I saw you recently? I forget. Maybe I don't know if it was that show, but it was a show at Vino.
Yes,
the venue. Yeah.
Yeah. So we really I started going to their show, and Chase Austin. Also, I haven't seen him in a while. I hope he's doing well. Chase Austin, he lives in San Francisco now, but they used to produce a show called Heavy Heavy Lolo at Bar Lubish in Hollywood. And I just started going there, and it would be late at night. It'd be like 11 o'clock was where they had it. So I would always be like, all right, let me go pull up after a show, or, just pull up just because it's late. And so I started pulling up there, and it was really where I met Tommy, who I used to always see playing the piano. And I already followed him and saw he did a couple funny songs on his Instagram. And I was like, I walked up to him after a show. I was like, hey man, I was like, I do music comedy as well. Like, do you want to meet up sometime and do some music? He's like, yeah, for sure. Let's do it. So eventually, like the first few times we hung out, we didn't get shit done. We just fucking bullshitted. We just messed around, which was fine. That's part of the process too. I
think it is. I was going to say that building team chemistry, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. So we hung out a couple times, didn't do anything. And then eventually we met up and we got drunk, and then we made a little song, a little skit, and it was the first thing we recorded at my kitchen table, and we dropped it as a skit, and it was cool. People liked it, and then eventually we started hanging out more, making different songs. Then the pandemic came, and we were like, yo, we should just work on this album and just make this an album, just make this a duo, like a comedy duo thing. He's like, all right, cool. So I came up with the name Run the Fools, which is a play on word for Run the Jewels, and and we started working on this album all during the pandemic, and I also kept continuing. I wanted to finish my solo album because I had started mine like 3 years ago, like when I started with Pete. And I wanted to record jokes, but then the pandemic happened. So I'm like, okay, well, how do I record jokes now? So I came up with an idea of like trying to make it more creative. So I did kind of a laugh track with different characters in the crowd, and that worked out. That was cool. I think it was interesting. So I did that while working on the one with Tommy, Run the Fools, and I ended up dropping both of them. I dropped one of them on my birthday, March 26th. I dropped my solo one. This one's for your mama, and that's my solo album. And then I dropped Run the Fools on April Fool's Day a week later.
Very cool. Congratulations with it. I got to check all this stuff out.
Yeah, man. I think you'll like them both a lot.
I'm sure.
Yeah, they're really cool. And then so I dropped both of those, and the numbers for Run the Fools have been doing really well, and I'm really happy for that. We've been working really hard on that, and we kind of have started to really make it kind of like its own standalone thing. We kind of made up characters, and we're working on skits now. So we're really trying to expand on the Run the Fools cinematic universe, as they say. But so I think that's been going really well. I'm really happy for that. I'm really happy to be working. Tommy's really a fucking genius. I don't know if he even knows it, but he's a genius. He can play any instrument. I've seen him be like, yo, I just want to play the cello real quick. And then he learns the cello. And I'm like, dog, like, he's really good. He makes all the beats. We made all the beats for our album, and like I'm really grateful to be working with him. It's just really cool to work with him. Aside from that, Pink House has been doing good, and I've really been grateful for that and having our studio around. And I think that even adding more and more people to the process, and we worked on different albums. We released a all women's album with my friend DC Edwards, who produced a album for his mom with all women artists called Kenyetta. And that's been really a high point for us as well. And I think that building the community is really what the phase I'm at right now with everything I want to do, is just building a community with the things I do, which has always been the key. But is really, I feel the focus on that more now. And I'm glad I have that focus on that.
That's all great. That's great stuff, and cool to hear, and great to hear. And it sounds like you're not losing, even though you're part of this extended community and growing community and circle of people and like minds and creative types, you're not losing any focus on like your own expression as a creator and as an artist, be it through your stand-up, through your own music, and through collaborations. You're able to get your voice and your stuff out there too, what's in your heart and your mind and soul, and what your feelings are and thoughts and sensibilities as well. That's cool.
Yeah, that was always important for me too. I don't want to, I never want to let my voice be drowned out, or anyone else's voice be drowned out. I think that's really what comes from. It's kind of like, I don't want anyone else's to be, because there'll be some times in Pink House where we start focusing on someone will want us to come work with them on something, and then we end up focusing too much, and it becomes a thing like, hey, well, now it's becoming about them. When is it about everyone? You know what I mean? And that was one of those things where you just kind of pick and choose when you're going to put your energy into something. That is it going to be something that where you have some kind of voice of being heard, or is it going to be something that's just now you're just working for somebody else because they want to do something? And I think that's important to everyone, especially, and there's a gauge on that too, because there'll be some times where it's like, yo, I don't feel like this is for me, And there was a point in time where I was in an extended rap group in Pink House, and I remember being like, hey, I don't think my voice is the one voice that matches the rest of you guys' voices in this. And that was a conversation that was kind of like, oh, well, we want you around, but I'm also like, yeah, I'm going to be around, but it just has to be about you guys. We have to make decisions what makes it the best for all of us, so I'm really grateful for that. It's really cool. It's really cool.
You trust your instincts. It sounds like that's good to have faith and trust your instincts and why not. What about like a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Maybe you don't have an answer to this question, but where do you kind of like see yourself headed, or where would you want to see yourself headed? Maybe both short, long, and medium, or short, medium, and long terms. Do you want to tour doing stand up, make longer form stuff, produce, direct? Because I mean, you got your hands in lots of different things going on.
Yeah. So me and another comedian named Sean Connor, he goes by Shiny Mac he's an animator. He does animation. And I met him. He's also part of Pink House as well now. I met him a few years ago, maybe 3-4 years ago, at an underground, comedy. It's this woman named Samantha Abrams opens her apartment into an open mic every Thursday night, late at night. And a bunch of comedians like the Wayans brothers might pull up sometimes. She knows like Craig Robinson. So I used to go to this place all the time and do stand up. And I met my friend Sean, and he was like, he had just moved from New Jersey. He was like, yo, I'm an animator, and I have this idea for a cartoon that I'm going to pitch. And he told me the idea for the cartoon. And I was like, that sounds, at first I was like, that don't sound that good. But, then after a while we became friends. And then eventually he had pitched it around to like Adult Swim and a couple other places. And they kept telling him, yo, your script's not that good. They kept saying like, this is a really good idea, but your script's not that good. And eventually I think he went through a few writers, and he came to me one day and was like, yo, man, do you want to help me write the script? And I was like, yeah, I'm definitely down to help you write it. So we got together. We were meeting up every day, almost, like writing this animation script and it really fleshing out the world with all the characters and stuff like that. And eventually we ended up getting a meeting with MGM. And we ended up going to the MGM building and being able to talk to them and whatnot. And they liked the idea. They just wanted to see a full episode. And I was like, all right, we can do that. But it's going to be hard because we have one animator. We have literally Sean, this guy right here, to animate it. And she understood, because she was like, yeah, I understand how hard it is. So we still have her connection though. So I guess to answer your question for the future is really just getting that off the ground, since we have some traction. I really want to, kind of either sell or work on an animated show. we're pretty much done with the episode now. We just have to repitch it again, and I think we'll see what happens with that. We'll see if it turns into anything or turns into something different, which I'm always open to. I really want to. I guess my answer to you is, for the next 5 years, I really want to, all the things I've been working on, make something more out of it. I really want to pitch another show for like Run the Fools. I really want to release a second album, a third album, work on that, really start working on music videos. I want to learn how to edit music videos myself. I want to tour as well. Like I've been doing a lot of shows in Los Angeles, so I'm at the point now I'm kind of like, all right, I need to get out of here and go to some other cities. I've been to San Diego, but that's like the furthest I've been. Let me get somewhere else. So I've really been trying to make moves to get out of town so I can, start really making some money and getting, spreading my name. I want to do a lot. I want to do a show for Run the Fools, do a comedy music show. Me and Tommy were just talking about this today, possibly doing a comedy music show where you invite a bunch of musical comedians on there and kind of start working on that. I feel like me and him could definitely have some good stuff on stage and host some shows with just us as Run the Fools.
Yeah, that sounds fun. I would want to see that.
Yeah, I know, right? I just told him today, I was like, yo, man, me and him got to do a Run the Fools performance at Vino Underground sometime, because that's the show that we produce together now, you know what I mean? So I told him, I was like, yo, we should just do that. And people will come out. People want to see that. People want to see us do some Run the Fools stuff. So we might as well give it to them. And I want to do it. Honestly, I really want to do it. We had gotten booked on a show in New Jersey in the summertime, as Run the Fools, and we got offered some stage time individually as well, and it ended up getting canceled. But I was really like, dang, I remember I was being like, dang, that would really be some fun right there. Is really getting that, doing the performance and doing something different, because I don't really know too many music comedy duos at the moment, at least. And I think I think we kind of have a strong thing going. So I think that's also important. I think that performing and just trying to get something on the air is really where I want to be in the next few years.
Yeah, I think it's gonna happen, man. You're inspiring me. I better go get working on my things and my projects. Damn. Wow, I think we covered a lot. Did we cover it all? Projects and growing up and family and comedians and farting on people and
farting on
rap
heads.
songs about boogers. We went on a journey.
Yeah, I agree, man. Dang, for sure. I did not think that I was gonna just waterfall at all. I really was just on a roll there.
I think so, yeah. Are you not a typical waterfall type guy? I'm like, because most comedians can talk and we'll get going, I guess. But maybe you didn't know that you were that much of a waterfall guy.
Yeah, so I always shock myself. I always think I'm a man of not that many words, but apparently today I'm not.
Oh, no. Well, you picked the right day for it. And I really appreciate the time and the stories and everything. Why don't you tell people where they can find you and follow you? I'm not sure exactly when I'm going to release this, if you want to plug anything upcoming, but I'll give you the floor to do your thing.
All right, cool. Find me at Instagram and Twitter and TikTok at the real Aaron Mon, TheRealAaronMon. Also, Vino Underground is the show we have produced with Tommy Wakefield and Kyle Real every second and fourth Saturday of the month in Atwater Village in Los Angeles, California. Run the Fools, something gonna come out soon. I don't know. Find me on Spotify. Follow Run the Fools on Spotify or Apple Music. Add us to your playlist. We got some good stuff, and look up This One's for Your Mama on Apple Music, Spotify. All really good stuff.
Will do. Yeah. I appreciate it again, and enjoy the rest of your evening. And I'm sure I'll see you at a show and soon, and we'll talk more soon.
Yeah, man. See you soon.
Oh, you got it. Later.
All right.
Peace. There you have it. My conversation with Aaron Monte. That was fun, and I again really appreciate Aaron's time, and I also appreciate Extra Guacamole. For real, Aaron is pretty inspiring and makes me want to work that much harder at everything I'm doing. But anyway, for everything about this show, of course, head to peoplewelovepodcast.com. That's at People We Love Podcast. And I am at Adam Choit on Instagram and Twitter if you want to follow me. And I wanted to mention one more time my other podcast, Tedeschi Trucks Podcast, all about the blues, rock, soul, 12-piece powerhouse force of a band they are. That's at Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on Instagram, Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on YouTube. Please like, follow, subscribe, give positive reviews to all my creative endeavors. I greatly appreciate that. But I think that's about all I got for today. Thank you so much for listening. It means a lot to me. And let's talk soon. Peace.